content.
Well, it's not content to you because you have real content, but to me, it's like talking about chocolate is valuable content. It's all I have. Hey, so Ben has the Toblerone that I shipped to him. So you haven't opened it? You haven't done anything with it?
I haven't done anything with it, so pending your instructions. But
Oh, I didn't know you were waiting.
I was hoping to find some POAP action, but it looks like I'm disappointed. What's going on?
Yeah. So truthfully, I don't know what's going on. I saw the marketing on their website. I bought, those for you. I also had some reshipped to me from UK and discovered that there is no mint code included. So so feel free to try it, share it, pitch it. If you do find a mint code, let me know. But and to be fair, I did through nefarious sources I did get the POAP.
Oh, nice, well done. Or as it's called, a pope on this one.
A pope. That's right. Yeah. So I guess they were giving a POAP QR dispenser. So Super Friends is actually the name of our
Super Friends.
Yeah, yes. It's our internal Eth2 one of our chat rooms is called Super Friends. So
you got to personalize it. All right.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
But it was kind of a letdown because I was really looking forward to the Pope. But it's Vitalik calls them popes, and since he is the giver of information, like, don't we have to say what he says?
Yeah, he talks about that Pope guy all the time.
Yeah. So anyway, hey Ben, how are you?
I am very well, thank you, Fizz. Yep. I am still roasting in the UK, which we're unaccustomed to, but it's going to get cooler soon. They promise.
We found out it's the first named heat wave. Are you aware of the name of it?
No, I haven't heard that. Hottie McHot or something.
Okay, I have to cheat. First named Zoe or Zoe, Zoe. But that it's technically the heat wave in Seville, Spain. But it is the first named heat wave. So nice presumptively, we're going to have a bunch more.
Yeah, interesting. Oh, right. Let's go.
Yep. Hey, so yeah, let's do the intro. I am superphiz from the Eth2 community. I am here with my dear friend, Ben Edgington, who is
hey everybody,
product owner at Eth2. So hey, so I don't know if you know this, but I'm suddenly like, at doing client diversity, I'm suddenly like, all right, everybody now run Eth2 Besu. It's the best the best pair right now. So
I did
probably
notice.
taken me like 50 years to get there, but there I am.
Yeah, I noticed. Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
It only makes good sense right now. So if you're here and you're listening and you're thinking about setting up a beacon chain validator, I really do suggest I try not to push any client. What I really encourage is overall diversity. But sometimes there's just an obvious, like, hey, do this. And right now, the obvious, hey, do this is Eth2 and Besu. So for a while, it was Nimbus. For a while, it was, hey, just don't use Prism. But now it is, hey, you might want to use Eth2 Besu for a while. So that's really good. Let's see. I got to share my screen.
Is struggling with technology today.
Always.
Is this the first time you've done this, Fizz?
It's the first time I've used computers. All right. Is it set right? Are we looking good?
Yep. Looks good to me.
So we're going to talk about the 99th edition of ETH, of what's new in ETH2. So I guess this is probably a good stopping point as any, right? Like, no need to do another one.
I think we'll do we'll do a minimum of
maybe one more.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, we'll see.
Congratulations on getting this far. Just in case you don't get to the next one.
I never imagined 4 years ago when I started doing this that I would still be churning these things out every couple of weeks. But there we go. It's got a life of its own. Now this is the LFG edition. So
what does
LFG.
LFG mean? Are you allowed to say that out loud? Probably not. Let's go, friends. Yeah, so there's no ETH2 coin. We know this, which is funny. I love how you get heat for this, but doesn't Coinbase call their staking product ETH2?
I believe so. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
but you're the one who takes the heat. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. There's plenty of heat going around, as we discussed earlier. But you know, ETH2 is a thing. It's out there. Many people use it. They're not going to change. So you know, I find it quite tiresome. People just going around saying, "Oh, you're not allowed to say that anymore." It's just a thing.
Yeah, we're a decentralized network. I can say whatever the heck I want, and unless it goes against consensus, then forget it, you. Right?
Righty-ho. Yeah, permissionless. I love it.
So I love your top pick. This video by Finematics is absolutely superior.
Yeah, I clicked through to it thinking, you know, it's just be another kind of mediocre thing, but it's brilliant. Absolutely accurate. Justin Drake, I think, reviewed it and had input, so you know it's kosher. And yeah, beautifully done, really nice. And he doesn't kind of shy away from the hard stuff, goes into the details. Yeah, it's just a really nice way to understand what's going on with the merge and Ethereum in general.
And they don't get lost in the weeds. They maintain like a really good overview. Like it's honestly like I wish I could do something this effective because it just takes you in 16 minutes from beginning to end. I love it, and I do appreciate Finematics for developing that.
Yeah, beautiful. I've got no idea how this stuff is done. I mean, it looks like it must take hours and hours to put together.
Oh, sure. Yeah, of course. This goes back to that whole note writing that looks like handwritten, but it's actually the font. Like I'm sure that's it's automated somehow.
Some sleight of hand going on for sure, but yeah, looks great.
Yeah, highly kind recommend. Of as we mentioned, it's been a dull week in Ethereum.
Yeah, just lots of numbers, about, big boring numbers.
Yeah. Probably nothing worth chatting about. Anything there that excites you?
Well, do you like dates? Shall we have a date? Do you want to go on a date?
Bro, I've been given dates for months now. What are you talking about? my date was June.
Doing anything on mid-September?
Yeah, so I think I would like to shorten this as like 5875 and then you know
yes, it's something sextillion. I don't know exactly what a sextillion is, but it's something around 5,000 sextillion or something.
I'm feeling personally excited by the thought of a sextillion. Maybe I should stop talking. We can check the progress at bordel.wtf.
Yeah, more dodgy stuff. So yeah, right? currently looking at 3:30 a.m. my time. The Australians will be delighted, but it's been fairly stable around that for the last few days. So it looks like hash rate isn't changing too drastically, but we'll see. We've got a month to go from today. We're recording on the 15th of August, so we've got 1 month, 30 days. No, 31 days, 31.
I really wonder if we're going to see minor attrition, but there's really no way to tell. I've also considered turning on my miner to accelerate the future, but
how big's your miner? You might accelerate us by 13 milliseconds or something.
I don't even know that I'll contribute to difficulty adjustments. So
I chatted. Sorry, Fizz. I chatted to some people familiar with the mining community, and the view was that miners will just keep on going to the end because there are rewards to be had. As long as it's profitable, they will mine Ethereum.
I just had this panic attack that I didn't actually start the recording. I did.
You did.
But I was like, crap, I'm not recording. Okay, so you said that you had talked to people in the mining community and they said, what did they say?
Miners will just keep on chugging until the moment of the merge, just because it will be profitable.
Yeah, well, and then they'll switch to another chain, because as long as they have cards, they will do their best to, if they can break even, if you can make a penny a day on a miner, then people are likely to continue mining somewhere somehow.
Yeah, the value would have to exceed your running costs, so your power and cooling and whatever day-to-day running costs, because your kind of capital cost is sunk, right? So if you can make money over and above your running costs, I guess it's worth carrying on. Difficult to see where they could go. I'm not really ultra familiar with the economics of mining and which chains are best to mine, but ETC can probably not take that much extra.
Yeah, if we look back, 2010, Bitcoin was CPU mined. 2011 and 2012 were the GPU mining heyday for Bitcoin. But by 2013, ASICs had really taken over the market for Bitcoin mining. But GPUs, they were still relevant. Like, you could still find places to make money GPU mining. And then, of course, that's 2013, 2014, and Ethereum really came on the scene in 2015 and took all those GPUs. But there were 2 years where you really could be profitable mining things that were not the dominant coin. And I guess I want to say, I can't really remember what we were mining. Maybe it wasn't Litecoin, but it wasn't too far.
Dogecoin.
I have mined Dogecoin, but not on purpose. I just didn't have anything else to do with my hashes. But yeah, I do think miners are going to stick around in some form. I really hope that they, I can't expect everyone to join the Beacon chain, but I really hope that they find ways. Well, my real hope is that they shut GPUs down, but
yeah. I mean, we should probably address the elephant in the room, which is this POW ETH fork. Is hoping that miners will stick around. I don't think you mean that, right?
I mean, they're going to do what they're going to do. I don't think there's any value to that. There are going to be folks who want, so I don't want to say who I'm thinking of, but there's a proprietor of another large chain who has some financial interest in dividing the Ethereum community. And so that person, I'm thinking Justin Sun, I wasn't going to say it. That person has a financial interest in kind of like encouraging a proof of work fork. But I think I don't really get the sense that it's going to be successful long term, even if it does cause a short term fork chain.
Yeah, the latest I've seen is that they are at least planning to change the chain ID, which means that we will be spared replay attack chaos, which is a real tar pit. I mean, especially for the unaware, it can cause a lot of issues. So as long as they do that, I don't really care what they're doing.
And I think that was successful. I saw some kind of amusing tweet that was like, we have 60 developers working around the clock, and we just changed the chain ID, and I'm like, oh, that's great, good.
Yeah, I think they've managed to change 2 lines of code, or 3 lines of code so far. One is like one is a difficulty bomb. That's one line gone. One is the chain ID. That's another line, and another one is to take the whole contents of the Beacon Chain deposit contract and send it to an externally owned account, which I think is the ETH Dev Fund. So they'll have 13 billion in ETH to POS ETH to spend, but what that'll be worth in ETH POW is anybody's guess.
Yeah, I have to confess, at the very beginning of this, I felt a little nervous about it, but zooming out, my nervousness is gone, because I know the future, that the direction that Ethereum is headed, and now it's just sort of a sideshow that's kind of fun to watch, and I don't see any real cause for concern other than just enjoying the show. So
yeah. Now they're changing the chain ID, I'm happy. Just let them do their thing. I don't care.
Yeah. So Matthew Rabinowitz is also running a spreadsheet.
Yeah,
and
prediction differs a little, but it's got slightly different modeling and assumptions. So it's just a reminder that all of this is a bit imprecise. There's also a Dune dashboard I saw today, which didn't make it into this edition. So that'll be in the next edition, or you can find it on Twitter.
What is Matthew Rabinowitz's role? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Okay. I see him around, and I've chatted with him a couple times, but I'm like, not quite sure what he does. So TTD is based on analysis by Mario Havel, which is a great analysis, and it's actually poked fun at down here. They don't know I calculated, which I absolutely love that. Mario also produces Bordel at WTF. I found that very amusing. So do you want to talk about the route to the merge, what it's going to look like?
Yeah, we call it a route over here, but indeed we could talk about that. So we have to remember this number, this sextillion, 5 whatever sextillion number, is not final. That was our best guess at the consensus call on last Thursday, assuming it remains on target by this Thursday for September 15th-ish. It shouldn't be changed. But if there's some radical change, like we see a lot of hash power dropping off the network or a lot of hash power coming on by Thursday, it is subject to revision at the all-core devs call. So that will be hopefully just ratified as is, but may change on Thursday the 18th. Then we've got like 3 to 4 days as client devs over the weekend. Thank you very much, to get out releases both for execution clients and consensus clients with that TTD number baked in. And there will be an announcement on the 23rd from the Ethereum Foundation, at which point that's the kind of starting gun, and everybody's expected to update both their consensus and their execution clients so that each side has the same terminal total difficulty. You shouldn't get any errors at that point. And you've got basically until September the 6th to get all that done. So you'll have 2 weeks to do your upgrades. And then it's the Bellatrix upgrade hard fork on the Beacon chain. So this is our second upgrade. We did Altair, when was it? About a year ago, October-ish. And that will prepare the Beacon chain. It'll make the Beacon chain merge aware, as it were. So it puts in a couple of extra data structures and fiddles around with a few bits and pieces, but it's basically the Beacon chain is primed, waiting to hear from the execution client that it's hit the terminal total difficulty, and then it will start processing execution payloads, that's Ethereum transactions, on the Beacon chain. So it's ready, and the idea is that we hit the merge event about 10 days after the Bellatrix. The disaster scenario is that the merge happens before we hit the TTD, so the merge kind of is triggered before the Bellatrix upgrade is done. That's the sort of, everything is horrible.
We tried that once before. It was fun.
Yeah. So we've left 10 days buffer. The premise is that accelerating that TTD by more than 10 days is just unfeasible with the amount of hash power that's available in the world. So yeah,
they're gonna have to make more GPUs. You mentioned Altair, and it brings me to this Jonathan Mann song. Have you heard this?
Altair, oh Altair,
I adore this song.
We're getting there. Upgrade the Beacon chain as we all prepare for the great big merge.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I remember that. I think that's the first time I heard him doing a Ethereum merge track. It was
yeah. I hope that at one point I owned that NFT, but I have a terrible problem of giving them away. So I'm not sure if I still hold that one, but I hope I do. Doesn't matter. I want to point some things out. eStaker's doing a bunch of support, and if everyone, literally everyone, anyone who is running a validator is going to have to update. This is not one of those things where you can put it off a few months and get lucky. What's going to happen if to anyone who fails to upgrade, who fails to like set fee recipient, or who fails to do the JWT secret, what's going to be the outcome there?
Yeah, so if you don't update your consensus client, then come the Bellatrix fork, you'll no longer be participating. You'll have forked off onto a chain of your own, and you won't be getting rewards. And effectively, you'll be your balance will be leaked out. You can rejoin, you can upgrade and rejoin the main chain after the Bellatrix fork. So it's not a disaster. Keep calm, but you will have missed out on a bunch of attestations. What happens if you don't set your JWT secret? Well, you lose contact with your execution client. Your node should complain about that, and you'll see error messages in your logs. So look at your logs. Anything that's in there which looks strange or unusual, ask about it. Ask on Ethtaker, ask on your client team's Discord. The clients should make you aware if they are misconfigured at this point. And I can't remember what your other scenario was, but
I see this this overwhelming fallacy of people who just don't check log files after doing an update. It didn't throw an error, so my system service restarted, so I must be good to go. But really, the proof is in that the log, and if your log has repetitive lines of error or failure or exit code 1, a lot of different things you can look for. The error logs are almost, I don't want to say they're common sense, but something that's wrong will almost jump out at you. So and I think whoever is creating errors often tries to make that text pretty verbose, so that as you're seeing that go by, you can say, that doesn't seem right.
Yeah, one of the consequences of using Java is that the stack traces are enormous, pages and pages.
There's a problem.
we try and keep our logs fairly clean in Teku, but if there's an issue, it'll do a stack dump, and either on your console or in your log file, you will end up with a pages long error message, and you will know something is wrong. Grep your log files for warn or error. The clients will all have some formulation around that, just so that you can see anything unusual. Don't overlook anything. I mean, we got some user reporting an error they'd seen in Teku. Teku had thrown this stack trace. I'd never seen it before. We want to know this stuff. I mean, all client devs, if it's coming up, it shouldn't be coming up. Something's not right, and we want to see. Amazing how often people just kind of overlook stuff, can't be bothered to report it. It's just, it's just a minute.
I have a tendency to do that. I'm like, well, that's, somebody will tell them about that. But it's terrible. If you cannot resolve an error, someone needs to know about it. And that really does start with checking your logs, which is after every upgrade you do, you've got to check your logs. People literally just assume that everything is fine, and often it's not. I was thinking I may, for giggles, just run a non-upgraded Bellatrix instance just for fun. That's my kind of party. I'm on it.
No comment.
Sorry. I love the Ron Paul meme, because so my favorite view of this is a site called bitquantity.org in 2000 whatever, when Bitcoin first passed, I think it was 1,000. The whole site just showed this and nothing else. It was really, really funny. And
I have no idea about the origin of this meme. I'm sure there's a good story there, but it pops up and it's just so joyful.
I didn't realize this was you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Mario Hobble. And yeah, this is a classic.
Yeah, even my wife chuckled at this one.
I saw the footnote. I checked the footnote. So yeah, merge is coming. Update. Let's be excited. Ethtaker, Bankless, the Daily Gwei will be live, we believe, on the Ethereum Foundation channel. We'll have a pixel art, a POAP canvas painting party. Jonathan Mann will be there. We'll hear from a lot of folks who have been instrumental, and we will watch together. And we've decided, it's taken a while to get here, we're not going to focus on the pandas anymore. We're going to focus on finalization, which is a more appropriate focus than something we know that is going to happen. Let's focus on finalization.
Right, as a milestone to celebrate. Yeah. That's been one of the issues. I mean, I've complained about this before, but it's and I wasn't on the girly merge call because I was sound asleep. But this, you just don't know it's gone well until sometime later, and even if it's gone superbly, you don't know for like 20 minutes, and there's never a point at which you can kind of like stand up and cheer and pop the champagne. It's just kind of
and that's
kind of weird.
As people, we need something, we need a moment to attach to. And I've always said, the viewing parties that we have, they are really the opportunity for the community to be together to watch something. They're not an analysis or a confirmation of success. They're just a chance for us to experience it together. And that in the past we've had, I want to say Girly took an hour at least to finalize. Those are some tense moments if you're just staring at a screen trying to stay engaged.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm quite glad I wasn't on the call. It was very early morning for me, and I knew the Australians would be all over it. But in the end, it went okay, right? I mean, if mainnet goes like Girly, I'm not going to be disappointed. That's okay. I mean, a couple of hours after the Girly testnet merge, it was all fine. Now, in the event, it was a bit bumpy. Participation was down. Block production was down. Couple of hours of reduced capacity on the chain. But if that's what it's like for mainnet, eventually, I mean, look at that, it's back to 88%. It was only ever up to 91% is before the merge was its participation. So, and people will not have upgraded for Bellatrix and stuff. So,
and as much as people don't want to acknowledge it, this is the network operating correctly. Like we're succeeding here. So it may not be 100% participation, but the beacon chain is built for this type of resilience, so it's okay.
Yeah, exactly right. And I'd rather see it go beautifully and just transition and not a single missed block. But in reality, realistically, it's not going to be that smooth. We will lose block proposals. We will lose participation. It will take a couple of hours for some operators to debug what they did wrong in their configuration, or come back online, or the last minute panic upgrade that they forgot to do. It's going to happen, but within a few hours, we should be running perfectly smoothly again.
And I'm happy about that, because a loss of participation. So I do want homestakers to upgrade, but I know that they have other things going on. They have jobs, they have responsibilities, they have families. They're not laser focused on the beacon chain like some of us are. And so when I see them fall off, because I know many of them will fall off at the merge, it's kind of this, it's okay. We have time. Let's take it a day or two and get you back in. Those to me are still the most valuable contributors on the beacon chain. They are people who have other things to do, but still want to be a validator. So I love that.
And don't panic. You're not going to get slashed, unless you do something stupid, which comes from panicking, right? You're not going to get slashed. Just be calm. Ask around. Ask on your client team's channels, ask on Eth2, check the documentations, and you'll be fine. Even if you're offline for a day or two, this is fine.
So Girly's in the past. It's successful. Let's see. I love this line. The merge does not need to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. Let's stop asking for it to be perfect. Let's just get it done.
100%.
Let's see. There was a lot of good coverage of this. So very happy to see that.
It was very positive as well. I mean, it was unanimous. I was a bit surprised, I was a bit hesitant to open stuff up on the morning, because I'd seen the devs channels and kind of was like, oh, this went wrong and that went wrong and the other went wrong, and focus really on the kind of failures. And then I opened up the various press stuff, and it was all like, big success. And okay, this is fine.
But I try to temper like the outcome, because I never know. Like, you can't know in the middle of a call. And I'm afraid that's what journalists take away from it. Journalists they have that potential to take away, that 30 minutes after the pandas, the uncertainty. And that's just not the right takeaway. So I am glad to see that it was reported accurately. We're still counting shadow forks. Is that a thing?
Yeah, going to be a few more mainnet ones before the event. They're pretty much routine now, but we're going to keep cranking those out until the day itself.
Yeah, very valuable, but I think now everyone is more likely to focus on the testnet merges, the success of Gurley.
Yeah.
Prepping for the merge, Samara Sot, the man.
Yep. So he's got the Gurley merge configuration staking guides done. These are super. I mean, he did these very early on in the kind of life of the beacon chain. Was pretty much the first comprehensive guide pre-launch, if I recall correctly, because I configured my node according to his guide. So I got no idea about system D process and all of that these days. I mean, I'm old school Unix. I'm not,
Yeah.
It's all.
Oh wow!
So
What is System D replaced? What was that? There was a huge
the
battle for years.
init stuff.
The init. Yeah, there was like a 5-year battle of System D versus init. I forgot about that.
yeah. So I couldn't be bothered to learn a new trick, so I just followed his guide, and it's been brilliant. It's set things up beautifully. So I'm so glad that Summer is still engaged, still updating things, and he's very good at coming on our client channels and validating his work, making sure that he's got it right, and is accurate. So yeah, all power to him. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I really appreciate his consistency, because and the same for CoinCashew. They've both been around since the beginning of the beacon chain, and they've continued to update their guides. It would be challenging for someone to feel like, I use this guide, but it's no longer maintained. What do I do now? So I love that they're continuing to serve the community.
Yeah. So those guides, he's very clear, they're not merge ready. They're sort of Gurley merge ready. The differences should be minimal, but just pay attention that I expect he will update them pre-merge.
And ETHstaker, so essentially Remy and Thorsten have been doing these validator workshops.
They are so good. I just have it on in the background and listen to them. They are so good.
The likelihood of this happening on Gurley was...
So yeah, they are so wildly knowledgeable. Like I have a fat talking head, but when it comes to like actual nuts and bolts, I really go to them and say, how does this work? And they do a great job explaining things.
Yeah, absolutely. The knowledge is deep and accurate, and I can't fault it. Just wonderful.
So Infura's continuing to run workshops.
Yeah, one more to go, I think, which is about people who are running applications, dApps. So I think that's tomorrow. So if you're running some kind of application that uses Ethereum, it will cover the changes which are required on that side, which is minimal, if anything, but might be worth checking in just to see what's up.
This is a great merge configuration checklist. It feels a little verbose to me, but I'm sure it's the thing that someone needs. I tend to prefer like 3 lines, but this is very, very beneficial to anybody who, like if you want an exhaustive checklist, I found it very useful.
Yeah, they're similar on the Launchpad pages as well, of the Ethereum Launchpad. You can find a sort of similar guide as well. Yeah, and
also ETH Wizard. That's Remy's, right?
Right. Yeah. So I'm not so familiar with that. That's more in kind of your wheelhouse. What do you think?
It's funny. I have to acknowledge, and this is why I'm the worst ETH staker ever. So Remy develops ETH Wizard, and Thorsten develops ETH Docker, and these are like really. They also develop the Wagyu key generator. These are like really, really robust products, but they're almost so close to my face that I'm not aware of them, if that makes sense. Like when I'm on the internet, like I'm scouring for things, I'm like, oh, well, that's cool, and this is cool, and let's talk about this. But when it's something that my own team is doing, it's almost like out of my awareness. So I know they're doing great things, but to my own shame, like I don't promote them or I'm not as aware of them as I ought to be.
Yeah, I mean, I keep half an eye on these things, and it's looking good. And Stereo is the other one.
Yeah,
and yeah, I mean, your dream of kind of one-click staking is coming closer and closer, continually.
it's funny. It's like this is the thing I've been begging for years, and my own team is doing it in front of my face, and I'm still unaware of it. It's terrible, but I do deeply appreciate all of the folks who are, and the reason I'm not ashamed of it is because I'm not doing it for me. They're doing it for the community, and
Right.
it's a great service, and I do appreciate them. Explainers.
Yeah. Yep. Distributed. Yeah, go on.
I wanted to go on a tangent on this, but you can go ahead and
Yeah, no, do your tangent. Let's do it.
well, you want to introduce what DVT is in general real quick?
Yeah, distributed validator technology. So I'm writing this book thing, right? And I've been thinking about consensus lately. What is, I'm just trying to break things down into their sort of basic, most intuitive definitions and things like that, which is really hard. But what is a consensus protocol? And what I came up with is something like consensus protocol is a way to build a reliable distributed system on top of unreliable infrastructure. And yeah, that's the best I can do in terms of distilling it down. And distributed validator technology takes that to another level. So we've done that with the Ethereum proof of stake base protocol. As we were saying earlier, it does not need to be perfect. We can go through the merge and we can lose a good fraction of the network and the thing will still keep working. It's a reliable technology, reliable system built on unreliable infrastructure. Nodes can come and go, the network can have all sorts of trouble, and it will just keep chugging. Distributed validator technology takes that to the next level by making each validating entity, each stake, building that across multiple instances of hardware. So you can have a single validator built across, let's say, 4 staking rigs. And you can lose one of those, for maintenance or network issues, or it forks off for some reason, there's a consensus bug or whatever, any reason you can lose one, and the other 3 will still be able to continue to validate effectively on the network, and it won't miss a beat. And that can be expanded, so you can have like 5 of 7 or something, is fine, and so on. And so they have a separate consensus protocol between themselves, layered on top of the other consensus protocols. And the Ethereum proof of stake protocol is designed to facilitate this. So we have the BLS signatures and so on, which you can aggregate. And so that's it in a nutshell. Does that make sense? Is that a kind of reasonable?
And I have this. My issue is that having been a home validator since December 2020, and after having learned how really easy it is to just keep my machine plugged in, and hearing, many of the proponents of DVT are like, they kind of promote threat scenarios. And so as I'm reading through these tweets, and I do not know Marco at all, and I'm not judging what he says. I know that he's trying to prove a point, but it's how confident are you that you're not going to get slashed? Well, I'm actually very confident that I'm not going to get slashed because I'm only running my keys in one location. So that's not a concern. And there was another, like, if something goes wrong, you lose your money. And I'm like, really? Like, you're going to leak a little bit, but no, you're not going to lose your money. And so I feel like a lot of the DVT message, in order to bring success to DVT, in their way, they're diminishing the value and simplicity of solo staking. And that's I think why I have so much difficulty.
I think that's fair. And yeah, I won't defend those statements. I think there are interesting applications. So I mean, we had some banter about this last time about, you know, your toaster and my toaster making a DVD cluster. I mean, you know, you can effectively extend the breadth of who can get involved by having this kind of infrastructure, because you still need a certain amount of KPI. Now, you and I are pretty confident we can keep the nodes running, right? But we can be much more relaxed about bringing on people who are going to struggle if we have this kind of infrastructure. And this extends. So you know, the other thing that we have in common is concern about Lido and the centralizing forces there. They have a long-term plan to decentralize, right? And whether that sees the light of day or not, I don't know, but I'm going to keep needling them about it. Part of the reason that they need to gatekeep the protocol now is because they want to maintain a quality of service. So they can only onboard operators who have a proven track record and commit to certain service levels. So they can't make it permissionless. They can't onboard, you know, Joe Public to Lido as participants, because they can't guarantee that you and I are not going to act in some, you know, bizarre way or maintain uptime. But using something like distributed validator technology, where we share infrastructure across with other state, and it doesn't matter if some of it is particularly unreliable, allows them to onboard people permissionlessly to the protocol, or semi-permissionlessly, at least better than what they're doing now, which is to totally gatekeep the whole process. So yeah, I think there are definitely good uses here.
I think I would love to see the selling points of DVT focus more on the future value than problems that are currently already solved. I guess I just, Fizz cannot get away from this desire to see home-based solo stakers. And yeah, that's all.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily take away from that. I mean, effectively, it could improve on this, on where we are today. And, you know, you and I and a couple of others, you know, Remy and Yorick, we could get together and have a distributed validator instance between us. And then none of us needs to worry about a bit of downtime or upgrades or whatever. And, you know, going on vacation and worrying about whether, you know, remote access into our nodes so we can reboot it or any of that stuff. We can just leave it, and it's more reliable to do that than it is for us each to run independently. And that's, you know, at very little overhead.
Definitely, yeah, it's definitely a valuable product. I guess I just you know, I have my struggles, and it's okay. I have my struggles with a lot of things that are going to come whether I like it or not. DVT is good. I just, you know, I'm not in love with the marketing around it. I guess that's all.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, yeah, don't lose sight of the technology. It's an enabler for better things. It's a good thing. I mean, it's an infrastructure level thing which will make staking more robust.
I did want to point out Phil's article on the road ahead for Ethereum Light clients. Just because I have tremendous respect for Phil and I love what he's doing with Lighthouse. Still very eager to see them
should say
formally on the launch pad. Kind of like,
yeah.
I guess they're waiting for the results of some audits to get that going.
Not 100% certain what the blocker is there. Yeah, I think that might have been it. I did hear. I can't remember now. Yep.
Bankless and the merge. That's
it's on their radar. They were very excited about it on the roll up last Friday.
yeah. Well, I guess let's see. Ethereum cat herders. Some fella, never heard of this guy, Adrian Sutan, presented Teku in the merge. Just kidding. Adrian is an absolute gem. Watch and listen to everything he does, right?
Yeah. Some great insights. That was brilliant. I handed it off to Adrian. Pooja asked me to do it, and I thought I'm not going to do nearly as good a job as Adrian, so I put him in the spotlight, and he did a wonderful job. Some Teku specific, some much more general, and good Q&A. It's worth 40 minutes of your time at 1.5x.
Yeah. um, Stefan and Vasily did MEV boost. I haven't listened to that. I may listen to that just because I'm interested in that perspective. Even though it's one I don't expect to align with, it's just something I'm curious about.
Yeah, I think we have to understand what's going on here. I mean, people who care about decentralization, care about the state of the network and the future of Ethereum, we need to know in detail what is happening. What are the real risks? And, we've seen it over the last few days with this whole transaction censorship thing and the Tornado Cash thing and all the fallout around that. And suddenly we're talking about censorship resistance, and there's a lot of assumptions and misinformation around, and I think we owe it to ourselves to educate ourselves about what is realistic, what is feasible, what is actually happening under the hood, and then we can comment wisely, for one thing, and we can also actually help improve things. Whereas acting on stuff we don't, opining on stuff we don't understand, or acting on stuff we don't understand properly
that's something
is not the right route forward.
That's a thing I personally struggle with. And I'm okay acknowledging it because I'm human, but I see something that, for example, whether it's MEV boost or whether it's DVT, and I don't have a full grasp of the whole picture, but I formed an opinion, and I'm always asking myself, like, is it okay for me to share my opinion even if I don't know everything about it? It's it's kind of a tightrope. But
yeah, and I think there's definitely a personality type dimension to this. I mean, Myers-Briggs is some people love it, some people hate it, but as an INTJ, I am not somebody who leaps in with both feet and voices an opinion. I will sit there and absorb and watch and learn and listen, and then eventually it will probably take somebody to ask me my opinion before I will come down and come with it, but it will be a strongly informed opinion by that stage. So you don't tend to see me on Twitter leaping in and but when I do put up a flag, I tend to have been on quite a long journey to get there, and it will be something I've something fairly deeply held by that stage.
Yeah, so I'm an ENTP. I am an idea promoter. So that is yeah, we may have differences there, but I don't think either is necessarily wrong. But I guess the value is in understanding who you are and what impact that has on the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly right.
Good stuff with Anthony Cesano. I love everything he does.
Yes.
And he's doing a lot.
Yeah, that Show Me the Crypto thing was a bit of a monologue, and boy, can he talk. I mean,
he can. But I love it. I listen to his Daily Gwei practically every day, and that's literally 30 minutes of him talking straight, and I don't get bored of it. So
yeah, I did go back and see, actually watch the YouTube rather than just listen to the podcast, just see if he did actually breathe. But yeah, he does breathe. But yeah, it's all good stuff. It's quality stuff, but can be a bit overwhelming.
Let's see. What did I highlight this? Particular, the current design must trust all. MEV boost. So I highlighted this because of the word trust, and I'm always like, I'm trying to get away from the need for trust. And one of the requirements of MEV boost is that you trust a relayer, which
for now
that's kind of my fundamental difference with MEV boost. Like, I know some people need or want to extract maximum value from the network, and I acknowledge, and that's their right. But for me, there is great value in not taking every red cent, but in giving value back to the network. So we can all agree to disagree on that one, I guess.
Yeah. And again, this has been reignited, this whole conversation, because of the censorship thing. When you've got one or very few block producers on the network, or one or very few relays, then these become natural points of censorship. And it's hard to see how this is going to play out, but I've always maintained that's the worst case scenario, is we end up with just flashbots producing blocks. We need a an ecosystem of block builders and relays. Eventually, the trajectory is to get this enshrined into the protocol, so we take out the trust element at least, but that doesn't necessarily fix the single point of failure or single point of censorship issues. So we still need a thriving ecosystem on that.
Yeah.
But this paragraph was all about the proposal to have a relay monitor design. So relay monitors. So Alex Stokes is started a conversation around what kind of architecture, what kind of information, what kind of dashboard do we need in order to surface and make transparent the activities of the relays, so that we can see who is behaving well and who is behaving incorrectly or poorly in the system, and then individual stakers can make their own choices about who they use.
Yeah, the thinking of the tornado cache thing, like in some ways that's a terrible assault against Ethereum, but in other ways, if we didn't have those terrible assaults, then 99% of the participants would be lazy and not care and assume it's going to take care of itself. And they're not, we won't build a resilient network if we're not on our toes about the potential for censorship. So
yeah, totally. I think it's pricked the bubble of complacency to a degree. It's reminded us a bit of what we're actually about. Censorship resistance, permissionlessness is, these are fundamental tenets. People who've joined in the last year or two may not be fully aligned with that, and it's great to have a reset, and it makes us ask ourselves the hard questions, right? I mean, to what extent are we prepared to fight for censorship resistance at the base layer? And that boils down to very personal questions, like if the UK government said that attesting to a block containing a tornado cache transaction was illegal, would I still run a node? How would I go about it? Or would I exit? Or what? What would I do?
yeah.
And those are questions we need to have answers to.
Yeah. It's obvious we'd move, right? Like that's all we I mean, I would move. Like yeah, I was going to offer my answer, but it's really not about my answer. It's about everyone thinking about those questions to themselves. Like, do we want to let ourselves get into a position where we have to make those decisions, or do we want to build a protocol where those questions will never be asked because the protocol is hardened against them from the beginning? So
yeah, and you can build permission stuff on top of permissionless, but you can't do it the other way around. And so fundamentally, I think we have to fight for the base layer to remain credibly neutral. I mean, there's a whole big discussion going into that. And although I think a lot of the Twitter discussion is overblown and kind of fears things which are never going to happen, I'm still happy that the questions are being asked. I don't think some of the doomsday scenarios that are playing out on Twitter are remotely realistic, but it's still good to ask the questions because, what if it did go that far?
Yeah. Regular calls. So all core devs, which actually we're going to have an exciting one this Thursday. It's going to be an affirmation or a potential affirmation of the big TTD number.
Yeah, that may not take long. Then we'll go on to the more interesting or dull stuff about governance, depending on which side of the fence you are. But
I always, when I introduce people to all core devs, I'm always like, listen past the first hour because the good stuff always happens at the end, and like it's kind of like this. What is it? Survival by attrition. Like a lot of people are going to drop off, but if you can make it to the end, you're going to hear the fun stuff. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
This call 93 consensus devs, nothing there. It's kind of a boring call, I guess. Yeah, you agree. Nothing was interesting. I tiffed with Christine, and I mentioned this before about the delay, but I'm really just loving what she puts out. So I
Yeah,
really appreciate her.
absolutely. And I don't know if I've said this before. I said it on the podcast I used to do with her, but Christine wanted to interview me a few years ago after some event in London I spoke at, and I refused because on the basis it was CoinDesk, and CoinDesk hated Ethereum, and all of their reporting was completely biased anti-Ethereum stuff. And so basically I just ghosted her, blanked her, and then a couple of years later we met up at DevCon, and struck up a friendship. And it wasn't until later I remembered that actually it was her that I'd refused to speak to before.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And she impressed me because what she was writing about Ethereum was, she was truth seeking. I mean, generally, sometimes editors kind of stitch up their reporters, but she was actually trying to report accurate stuff. And then she might have picked and chosen what was kind of in her view important and so forth, but just normal journalistic stuff. But at heart, she really wanted to understand what was really going on, and she's doing a terrific job following the various governance calls we do and writing them up, and really understands the space.
I'm kind of developing a short list of journalists who I feel like are really trying to get it right, rather than sensationalize or essentially pit Ethereum against Bitcoin. And it's nice that we do have journalists in the space who are actually trying to get it right.
I mean, Christine's moved on from journalism now and is working kind of as an analyst, but there are some good people around.
Let's see. Upcoming events, anything you want to shout out here?
You got Eth2 Community Call 20 coming up. I don't know anything about the Swell team. Anything you can share?
We had a pre-chat with them. It's an interesting design, and to be honest, this is a call kind of like Stakewise. We should have talked with Stakewise a year ago, and we just delayed it. It just didn't ever come to the top, and we didn't want to make the same mistake with Swell, even though it took us a while. Swell is an interesting design. It is it's kind of a hybrid of several approaches, but essentially a node operator puts up a bond. An unrecognized node operator will put up, I think, a bond of 16 ether, and on their staking page, people who want to use them will select an actual operator. So if I were an operator there, I could put up 16 ether, and then people could say, I trust superphiz, I'll stake with him. And then they get a direct one-to-one correlation of the rewards. And so it's an interesting design. I wonder, I have some questions about the legality of it, but that's something that I think time will answer.
Okay. Interesting. So, is it a competitor to Rocket Pool, or is it different sort of take on the Rocket Pool thing?
I'd say it's a competitor to Rocket Pool. It's a similar model, in that Rocket Pool obviously uses a smoothing pool where all deposits are kind of wrapped together, and the success of all of the operators is paid out to the holder. With Swell, you essentially choose the operator or the entity that you trust, and give your ETH to them. So it is, I think of it a little bit like a hybrid between, as in the same way Stakewise is a hybrid between the Rocket Pool model and the Lido model, which they're kind of on extremes. And then you have, the center, which is the hybrid approaches.
Cool. I might tune into that one. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Looking forward to hearing Taylor at the Blockworks seminar. So I hope Matt Cutler and DeFi Dad will forgive me for just calling them a couple of guys. I'm starstruck by Taylor. Because we had a merger with we acquired MyCrypto. Taylor's now part of Consensus, and I find myself on the same slag as her, and I'm a long-term fanboy.
A genius. Yeah.
Absolutely. So looking forward to that.
Speaking of which, I was looking at, let me see if I can find it. I'm not going to find it. I was looking at the merge call, and it is, as often happens with Ethereum stuff, it's a bunch of people who look the same. And I really, so I appreciate people like Taylor, and we have Nick's on eStaker now. I really look forward to bringing more diversity to the ecosystem, and I kind of think the only way we do that is by actively talking about it. And it's like, so every opportunity I get, like, I really feel like it's important for us to appreciate gender diversity, racial diversity, geopolitical diversity. Anyway.
Yeah, it's what we're all about, isn't it? I mean, diversity at every level of the stack, tech and people.
Yeah. I'd like to shout out Danny Ryan's Finalized 36, yes, just because
I relegated him to other news, which I feel a bit bad
right?
about, but but it was just kind of repeating stuff which I'd already said. So
yeah, it's good stuff. It is, and that's, I guess, the thing. We want to see the same information from a lot of different sources, and as always, Sterium is a great platform for people who want to solo stake from home using a graphical interface. Their platform is extremely robust, and I encourage checking them out.
Great. I think we are done.
Done. You probably stopped talking after an hour, and I probably kept talking. Right.
I think we're good. If anyone's still listening.
Thanks everybody for joining us. And next will be the 100th issue of What's New in Eth2. So preemptive congratulations to you, and I look forward to talking to you about the next episode. All right, buddy. Have a great day.
Thanks, Liz. You too.
Let me figure out how to stop recording. So senile. There we go.